France, the road to immortality. 20 years after glory on home soil, after heartbreak in Berlin, after chaos in South Africa, after falling short in Brazil, France arrived in Russia carrying more than talent. They carried expectation. A new generation had emerged, fearless, explosive, and impossibly young. Led by mastermind coach Didier Deschamps, France entered the 2018 FIFA World Cup with one mission: to bring the world title back to Paris. And at the center of it all, a teenager the world would never forget: Kylian Mbappé. Chapter 1: The First Step. France versus Australia. Group stage. France's journey began against a determined Australian side, but this wasn't the dominant entrance many expected. This was tension, nerves, pressure. In the 58th minute, Captain Antoine Griezmann stepped forward and buried it, but Australia answered. 1-1. Suddenly, doubt crept in. Then came chaos. A deflected strike from Paul Pogba looped into the air, hit the crossbar, crossed the line by inches. Goal. France survived. 2-1. Not beautiful, but champions rarely begin perfectly. Chapter 2. The Fall of the Incan Empire. France versus Peru, group stage. Then came Peru, a nation returning to the World Cup after 36 long years. And though France entered as favourites, this match became far more than a group stage battle. It became war fueled by passion. Peru attacked fearlessly from the opening whistle. Their fans shook the stadium with relentless noise. Every tackle felt personal. Every sprint felt desperate. France was tested, not physically, emotionally. Pedro Aquino rattled the post. Paulo Guerrero fought like a warrior in every duel. Peru refused to back down, but in the middle of the storm, the teenager appeared. In the 34th minute, after chaos in the box, the ball fell perfectly for Kylian Mbappé. One touch, one finish, one historic moment. At just 19 years old, Mbappé became the youngest French player ever to score at a World Cup. But Peru kept coming, wave after wave after wave. France defended desperately. Hugo Lloris made critical saves. Raphael Varane and Samuel Umtiti stood firm. And when the final whistle blew, France had won 1-0, but they had earned it the hard way. Many would later remember this game as the moment France realized something important. Talent alone would not win the World Cup. They would need resilience, and Peru forced them to find it. Chapter 3: The Quiet Before the Storm. France versus Denmark, group stage. With qualification nearly secured, France faced Denmark in a match defined not by chaos, but caution. The game slowed to a crawl. Few chances, little risk. A tense 0-0 draw. Critics called France boring, predictable, conservative. But inside the French camp, there was calm. Because while others chased headlines, France was conserving energy for war. Chapter 4: The Night the World Met Mbappé. France versus Argentina, round of 16. Now the world watched. France versus Argentina, youth versus legacy. Mbappé versus Lionel Messi. And what followed became one of the greatest World Cup matches ever played. Just 13 minutes in, Mbappé took the ball near midfield and detonated past the Argentine defence with terrifying speed. He sprinted nearly the entire field before being brought down in the box. Penalty. Griezmann scored. 1-0 France. But Argentina answered, then took the lead. 2-1. France stood on the edge of collapse. Then came madness. A thunderbolt from Benjamin Pavard screamed into the top corner, one of the greatest goals in World Cup history. 2-2. And then, Mbappé unleashed chaos. Goal. Then another. Every touch shattered defenders. Every run terrified Argentina. France won 4-3, and overnight, Kylian Mbappé became a global superstar. Chapter 5: The Fall of Uruguay. France versus Uruguay, quarterfinal. Uruguay brought grit, discipline, and one of the tournament's fiercest defences. But France had evolved. They were calmer now, smarter, more ruthless. A perfect header from Raphael Varane broke the deadlock. Then Griezmann struck again after a goalkeeping error. 2-0, controlled, professional, cold-blooded. France marched into the semi-finals. Chapter 6. When Giants Collide. France versus Belgium, semi-final. The semi-final against Belgium felt like a final before the final. Two golden generations, two attacking monsters. Only one would survive. Belgium attacked relentlessly. Eden Hazard danced through defenders. Kevin De Bruyne searched for openings. But France defended with discipline bordering on perfection. Then came the breakthrough. Corner kick. Samuel Umtiti attacked the ball with fury. Header. Goal. 1-0 France. What followed was not glamorous. It was sacrifice. Sliding tackles, blocked shots, exhaustion. France defended their lead with everything they had. When the whistle blew, they were through. One match away from immortality. Chapter 7. The Golden Night in Moscow. France versus Croatia, World Cup Final. July 15th, 2018. Moscow, the World Cup Final. Against them stood Croatia, fearless underdogs who had survived extra time after extra time to reach history. But France entered the final with cold determination. An own goal gave France the lead. Croatia answered immediately through Ivan Perisic. Then came controversy, a handball review, VAR again. Penalty France. Griezmann converted. 2-1. Croatia refused to die. They attacked with courage and heart, but France possessed devastating efficiency. Paul Pogba thundered home the third. Moments later, Mbappé struck from distance. At 19 years old, he became only the second teenager ever to score in a World Cup final after Pelé. France led 4-1. The world knew it was over. Even after a bizarre mistake from Hugo Lloris gifted Croatia another goal, France never lost control. The final whistle blew, and history returned to Paris. From the streets of Paris to the stadiums of Russia, France conquered the world with speed, power, and unity. Deschamps joined football immortality, winning the World Cup as both player and manager. Griezmann delivered, Pogba inspired, Varane commanded, and a 19-year-old named Kylian Mbappé announced the beginning of a new era. But every championship journey has a moment where belief becomes real. For France in 2018, that moment may have come against Peru. Because before champions lift trophies, they must first survive the fight. France didn't just win the World Cup. They announced the arrival of a new generation destined for greatness. In Russia, France became immortal.